Thank you so much. The music really brings out so much beauty, and I so appreciate that. Thank you. Okay. Gotta get it together. Maybe, yes, thank you. I'll take a sniff of my Sharpie. Maybe that will help me get back on track. So, getting toward the end of the day, what a beautiful moment that was at Herbalife to connect people together from another city and another country. And I can tell you, last month I was in Australia. We had the most amazing event, and everywhere we go around the world, Herbalife distributors are united in our mission of helping to transform people's lives. And in the process, when we do that, we transform our own lives. It's just a beautiful, beautiful thing, and I'm so thankful. Oh, okay. I'm looking for the remote. Has anyone seen? Oh, there it is. Okay, great. You know, I'm getting old, and relevant in the marketplace. And, you know, I've been noticing on Facebook, yes, I'm on Facebook, and I've been noticing that there's a lot of young people that are, you know, showing their abs, their six-packs and everything. Like, here's a guy in our club, okay? Here's Marcus. Here's another guy in our club, Kevin. Here's Gary. You know Gary, right? So I decided I better get with the program, and, you know, a lot of people have been asking to show, you know, so here we are. So I am relevant, I'm telling you, I'm relevant. And, you know, in Herbalife, we tell our story, because the stories, which I love to hear people's stories because I get my inspiration from hearing the stories around the world. So I'm going to tell you how I got started. And, you know, I grew up in Calgary, Canada, home of the 1988 Winter Olympics, starring Alberto Tomba. And I grew up in a middle-class family. 5 girls, guess where I was in the order of things? Out of 5 girls, right in the middle. But, and I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. I was at my dentist's office, and he said, why don't you be a dental hygienist? There's lots of jobs available. And so I went to university and graduated as a dental hygienist. See, there's my photo, so young and fresh. And, well, oh, yes.
Yes. So yes.
And I started going to work every day cleaning people's dirty, filthy, rotten teeth. And you can tell how much I liked it, right? I mean, it was disgusting, and I hated it. And then I met a man, and he was going to look after me for the rest of my life, an American. And I moved to Los Angeles and leased a condo on the beach in Marina Del Rey and leased a car in preparation to be looked after. And then I found out he was like a really bad guy, like a con man. I don't know if that translates. But he was a bad guy, and so, you know,
Giovanni.
You understand that, right? I've seen that a lot since I've been in Italy. But in Canada, it's not bad. It's like I'm reading. It's like, hi, what are you doing?
See it.
Just kidding, don't do it. So, there I was in LA, I didn't know anybody, and I had a condo on the beach, and I had all these bills coming in, and no money, no possibility of getting a job because I didn't have a work permit. And I added all my bills up, and I had to make $2,000 in 2 weeks, or I was going to get kicked out of my apartment. And I was so scared. Can you imagine? I was 23 years old. I was alone in a big city, a different country, and I was scared to death. And so I was looking through ads in the Los Angeles Times, trying to find a way to make some money, that was legal. And I came across an ad that said, "My business growing too fast for me. Need key people in sales and supervisory positions." And I thought, okay, well, I'm clearly supervisory material. So I phoned the ad, and a man named Mr. Lutz invited me down to take a look at his business. And so I thought I was going down for a job interview. And I remember getting the address 251 South Robinson Boulevard in Beverly Hills. So this was going to be a classy place. And the closer I get to the address, the more I realize this is like the dark side of Beverly Hills. This isn't what I had in my mind. And down the street, I see this building, and there's all these people spilling out onto the street. And the closer I got, I realized that was the place. So I go up there, and I said to them, excuse me, I have an interview with Mr. Lutz. And they said, oh, okay, just a minute, Mr. Lutz. And so this big, tall guy came over, and he said, just have a seat right there, we're about to get started. And I'm thinking, I thought I was here for an interview. And he's shoving me down in the seat. The room was packed full of people. The music was turned up. There's these crazy Americans, dancing on their chairs. And the longer I sat there, the cooler I thought I was. And clearly, I'm too cool for this place. And I actually, the room was packed so tight, Mr. Lutz was sitting at the end of the row. And he was really tall. His knees were touching the chair in front of him. And I got up to actually leave before the meeting even started. And I got up and I was saying, excuse me. And he pretended, I think, that he didn't hear me. And I couldn't get past his knees. So he was actually blocking me in. And I couldn't get out. And the music stopped. And the meeting started, and I realize now that I came this close to missing out on Herbalife. In fact, if Frank Lutz wouldn't have been so tall, I literally wouldn't be in the business. When we look back at these little moments in our life where we could have gone this way or that way, and how thankful I am that Frank Lutz is a really tall guy. So I was not interested in the products. I was interested in nutrition, and I thought, well, that sounds like a good product, but I need to make money. And the girl that was giving the opportunity meeting, which I now know was an opportunity meeting, was making $2,000 a month. And she was a grocery checker and a school teacher. And I remember sitting there looking at her thinking, okay, she doesn't have any business background. She doesn't seem like she's got something that I don't. If she's making $2,000 in a month, maybe if I work twice as hard as her, I could make $2,000 in 2 weeks and be able to pay my bills and get back to Canada. And so $2,000 a month was the testimonial that got me to join Herbalife. Okay, and I'll never forget, I stayed to the end. I made an appointment with Mr. Lutz. I met him in a park the next day. And he sat down, and I remember him drawing the circles. And I had no clue what he was talking about, but I'm nodding my head. And then he said, do you have any questions? I said, yes. How many of these programs do I need to sell to make $2,000? So he figured it out on his calculator. Calculators were invented back then. And he figured it out and he told me, and I said, okay, that's how many programs I need to sell in 2 weeks. And he looked at me and he said, no problem. And it was a lot. But, in my mind, what was I going to do? I was going to do whatever it took. I didn't know people. The thought of selling something scared me to death. I was not, believe it or not, I was really shy. But I knew that I was going to sell that many programs in 2 weeks. So what do you do when you're broke and desperate and your back's against the wall? You do whatever it takes, right? So I remember Frank, there was a big button. He was waiting out, asking me how, and I put that button on, and the things I did. I got to be an expert in what I call conversational selling. I got to be an expert in getting into conversations with people and then talking to them eventually about the product. I didn't understand the marketing plan, and frankly, I didn't have time to sign somebody up, get them on the products, and eventually make money. I just needed to reach the product. So I remember going there was a bank in Marina Del Rey, and about a year ago, I went to Marina Del Rey, I was renting a car, and I was driving past, and I thought, I'm going to pull into that parking lot and see if that bank's still there. And sure enough, the bank is still there. And I would go in there during busy times, and I would stand in line. I didn't have a bank account, okay, but I would just stand in line at the bank because I wanted to go places where I could talk to people. And I would get into a conversation with the person in front of me and the person behind me in line. And eventually I made my way up to the front of the line. Of course, I didn't have a bank account, so I would pretend that, I forgot my deposit slip in the car. I'll have to go back out and get it. And so then I would go back, and guess what? Join the back of the line and do it all over again. I mean, literally when I look back on that, one of the people that I met in that line was an aerobics instructor. Remember Jane Fonda aerobics, Go for the Burn, the leg warmers and everything? That was really big back then. And I got into this conversation with this woman, and she was an aerobics instructor. And eventually, by the time we got to the front of the line, I got her name and number and told her I would love to come and do a little demonstration to her class on nutrition and weight loss. And so she let me come, and looking back, it was like a little shake party. The only problem was, back then, the powder tasted horrible. And I mean really horrible. If you wanted to drink a shake, you had to do it like this. And so I was going to give a little demonstration and tell them about the products, give some other people's testimonials, but they wanted me to bring a shake sample. So back then, in order to even get it down, you used extracts and fruit and all kinds of things to make it taste good, to mask the actual taste of the powder. So I remember, so I did my little testimonials, I made the shake. I remember putting in frozen strawberries and banana and extracts and ice and milk. And then I gave them all a taste, and I said, what do you think? And they said, this is delicious. And they all bought the program. And I was stunned. And I remember I was so excited, I was shaking. I got everybody's name and phone number. And then I remember getting them their product the next day. But that night, when I went to pack up all my things, I realized that I had forgotten to put the powder in the shake. My ethical follow, how did your shake taste? And they said, well, it's okay, but how did you make it before? I can't get mine to taste as good. And I was like, oh no. The key to a good shake is to not actually use our powder. But anyway, those were the good old days, as they say. But by the end of 2 weeks, guess how much money I had made? Almost to the dime, $2,000. And by the way, I wanted to talk to the women in the room a little bit. Before I found that ad in the paper and I was looking for ways to make money, I read an ad that said, we buy you gold. And I had a little bit of gold from a bracelet that my friend gave me when I was her bridesmaid. And so I thought, in my naivety, that maybe this bracelet, this gold, was worth $2,000. And so I remember going down to this address in downtown Los Angeles, going down there, and I was so excited, standing in line, and there was a man at the front of the line, and he had a table, and he had a weigh scale, and people would bring in gold, and he was counting up the cash. And the big piles of cash, people were picking it up and stuffing it in their pockets and leaving. And so by the time I got to the front of the line, I was thinking, maybe it's worth $3,000. Maybe it's worth $10,000. It's real gold. And in my mind, you know, I was going to get this big pile of cash for my gold. And I got to the front, and he looked at it, and he actually laughed. And I said, how much will you give me for this? And he said, honey, that's not worth anything. And I said, but it's real gold. And he said, honey, it's not worth anything. And I had to walk past all the people in line, and I remember I could feel the tears starting, had to go past everybody. I was so humiliated. I mean, really humiliated. And I got outside the building, and I remember sitting on the curb. I couldn't even